Hi, welcome to Sojourners Along the Way. And from time to time, I like to reiterate a very special, very sincere invitation to our viewing audience. Love to hear from you. Love to know what you think of the program, things that you would like to have included, and I especially like inviting people to come and participate, which can be accomplished in a manner of different ways. If you are here locally, you are able to come into the studio and we can record things. Actually, the word that is used often is capture. We can capture a program together, or depending upon what the program that you have in mind is, you can do it by yourself. I don't have to be part of the program. That's fine with me. I love to have other guests come in and to just, give informative programs. I really, really like Sojourners Along the Way to be inspirational, helpful, to motivate people, to help you to see that there's all kinds of things available that you can do. Okay? So, to get in touch with us, those of you that do use email, and I will again put in a plug for our public libraries here in the United States, that public libraries nowadays, many of them have computers that have the internet, and you can use them for free. And they'll even show you how to use them. So, by email, please contact sojourners3.tv@gmail.com. That's Sojourners, SOJOURNERS, the number 3.tv@gmail.com. Or, if you like, you can send us a letter. You can send a DVD, and please remember, programs on Sojourners Along the Way are G-rated, not PG, G. We like it to be totally family-oriented and usable on the air. So, if you want to send a DVD with a self-addressed stamped envelope, if you want the DVD back, that's fine. Please, please keep in mind that accidents do happen. We will take very good care of your DVD, but in the event that something does happen, we claim no responsibility for the DVD. Is that okay with you? The mailing address is 507 Richland Avenue, Suite 100, Athens, Ohio, 45701, and that is our physical location. For those of you that are familiar with Athens, we are on Richland Avenue. It is the old Morrison School, and it looks like it used to be a school. We are on the first floor. As you come in the door from the parking lot, we'll be on the right-hand side. Love to have you come. Please do make an appointment so that way you will not be disappointed, because times here vary, and we want to make sure that somebody would be here to greet you. I will also give you the phone number. If you are looking to contact me, please do not leave a message. Please only talk to me directly. That number is 740-592-2529. So, look forward to hearing from you. Suggestions for programs are well requested, and that is very serious. I love to hear from people, and I do take into consideration comments that have been made. So, I listen. For today's program, it is going to be a feast of some sort, a small feast. We're going to have a feast of expressions and proverbs, and I want to put in a plug and a big thank you to Tamley Galogly, who insisted And that's the only word I can use for it, that she insisted that I get on Facebook. And after going back and forth a couple of months, because I didn't want to do it, because I had worked overseas and I have had experience in more than one country, and I was a little bit hesitant, you might say, but Tammy persisted, and I am very thankful for Tammy Galogli, so I want to put in a plug for Tammy Galogli Ministries. I also want to say thank you for those that I am in touch with on Facebook, because I have since getting on Facebook been using some of their materials in the program, and that case does happen today. I love to give credit where credit is due. Sometimes it is not possible to connect, and I'm very thankful for those times that I have connected with the place that the item that I'm using originates, and they say no problem, no need for permission, which is giving me permission to use the items. And so I do want you to be aware that not all the artwork comes from me directly, but I want you to know it is there, and there's a lot of good stuff. So because of Tammy insisting that I get on Facebook, I have had the opportunity to connect in a very fun and a very special way with family and also with friends. I said I worked outside the United States. Some of you may have heard on other programs, one of the places that I worked outside the United States was in China, Beijing, China. And today's program is going to have a very special visitor. Tim Fischer is going to be talking about being a dad, and he's rather open and honest with the things that occurred within his own family. So hopefully that will encourage, hopefully it will challenge and say, dads are very important. You know, many times when we think about children, we look at it, oh, that's the mom's job. No, that is not the mom's job. Actually, Scripture says, raise up a child in the way that they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it. Train up a child in the way that they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it. There is a specific verse that does talk to parents, the fathers, and says, fathers, do not provoke your children. Help them to learn to love and to reverence God. And the best way to do that is by your own personal example. So, I hope you will enjoy meeting Tim Fischer. Fischer being spelled with a C because he is German. And I think that he has a really interesting experience. And that is, he's from Germany. He and I met in Beijing while his wife, who is a diplomat from the Philippines, was stationed in Beijing. She since went from being in Beijing back to the Philippines, and now Micah, his wife, is posted in Cambodia. So, what you're going to see was actually filmed, captured in Cambodia. So we're going from here in Athens, Ohio, jump over to Beijing, because that's where my relationship with the Fischers began, and then to Cambodia. So I hope that the things that you will see will encourage you, bless you, and I want to put in a plug again, because one of the stories that you will hear is about a couple that adopted a child. There's so many children today that I am very thankful. I mean, if a woman gets pregnant out of wedlock, then I am thankful when she carries the child full term, delivers the baby, and puts the baby up for adoption, so that way those that are wanting to have a child but are unable to, will be able to adopt. So please, fathers, you can be a father that way too. Enjoyed today's program. I love you, Daddy. Dad, remembering you is easy. I do it every day. Missing you is the heartache that never goes away. As old as we are, we all miss our daddy sometimes. A second dad. Even though you're not my dad, I know that you'll be there. With the little things you do, you let me know you care. You're always there to help, whatever the need may be. You've given of yourself, and so unselfishly. Now you're becoming the dad that I have never known. I'm drawn to you more every day for the kindness you have shown. I just want to thank you and let you know I care. A second dad as great as you is something very rare. This is a story about a couple who adopted a baby, a newborn. When the father looked at the birth mom and the baby, he realized he had seen her before. The story is by Barbara Diamond. When Walt was 10 years old, he had a vision of his future daughter. He could see her face as clear as day, and he even knew her name, Chloe. Around that same time, Walt moved to a new neighborhood and befriended a little girl named Annie. They lived across the street and became the best of friends. As Walt and Annie grew older, their friendship continued to grow. Eventually, the pair fell in love and got married. Annie told Walt about her desire to start a family. She even shared the name she picked out for her future daughter, Chloe. Chloe? Okay, clearly this was fate. Walt felt like it was meant to be from the very beginning, Annie says. For 4 years, Walt and Annie struggled with infertility. Walt clung to God's promise of the daughter he once imagined, while Annie began to lose hope. And though they were both skeptical of adoption, they began the adoption process. One day, Annie received an email from their adoption agency. "It's a girl," she read aloud. A pregnant birth mother chose Walt and Annie to adopt her unborn baby. But Walt and Annie were still concerned. Would this lead them to the Chloe they dreamt about for so many years? What if this baby wasn't meant to be their baby? It wasn't until Walt and Annie visited the home of the birth mother that they made a stunning realization. The birth mom had selected the name Chloe. When they met their little girl, she looked exactly like the baby Walt had seen years earlier. Be adventuresome. If you are married, you want children, yeah, everybody always wants to have their own, but there are so many babies that are born that need a family. They need a mother and a father. Be adventuresome. If you're having trouble having your own, check into adopting. Babies need to be loved. And if you have that love, does it have to be your own biological child? I applaud the women who are experiencing an unwanted pregnancy and they decide to carry the baby full term and to give birth. Because nowadays, abortion has almost become the same as birth control. And I don't like that. I really don't. So I want to encourage both sides. One, if you are pregnant and you don't want to be, consider putting the baby up for adoption and letting somebody else who wants to have a baby but they can't, let them have the opportunity to be the mom and the dad. And today we're focusing on fathers. So fathers, become a father by adopting a baby. That would be tremendous. Some superheroes don't have capes. They are called dad. Be sure to spend time with your parents while you can, because one day when you look up from your busy life, they won't be there anymore. This is for those whose father has already passed on. R.I.P. standing for rest in peace. I thought of you with love today, but that is nothing new. I thought about you yesterday and days before that too. I think of you in silence. I often speak your name. All I have are memories and your picture in a frame. Your memory is my keepsake, with which I'll never part. God has you in God's keeping. I have you in my heart. My daddy will teach me. My daddy is my greatest wish, that my little hands will catch big fish. When I'll be there fishing with you, I know you'll teach me what to do. You'll show me how to bait my hook when we fish the lakes and brook, and how to find the fishing hole, the way to cast my fishing pole. Daddy, I know that you're dreaming too of the special times I will spend with you. Number one, Dad. One sure thing about fathers. A father is often a kind and good man who helps you to thrive as well as he can. A helpful father always does his best. He never even seems to rest. Fathers tried to help you do better. He probably taught you your alphabet letters. But fathers are human. They make mistakes too. Sometimes they might get angry at you. Sometimes you might also get mad at Dad for forgetting your birthday or making it bad. But even when he's too much to endure, your father loves you. That much is sure. I'm going to start with the Chinese proverb that was given with this one. Tension is who you think you should be. Relaxation is who you are. Again, that's a Chinese proverb. This is a story called Feeding Squirrels with Dad. Every Wednesday, as I have for the past 2 years, I leave work and drive to the nearest fast food restaurant. I order a strawberry milkshake and make the 25-mile trip to visit my dad, who has dementia and lives in a nursing home. The routine is familiar: parking, walking up the winding driveway, entering the tastefully decorated lobby, and signing in with the receptionist. Then it's a right-hand turn down the long hall to the wing where my father lives. Dad won't be in his room when I arrive. Members, as the residents are called, aren't in their private rooms except to sleep. They are encouraged to be involved with one another and to participate in activities throughout the day. As soon as I pass through the arches of the doorway, I spot him. The aides that care for my father are angels. My father looks as he would at home, in casual slacks and a t-shirt or sweater. He is well groomed. Most days he also wears one of his beloved baseball caps. Usually it's the red one that proclaims, "My grandson is a U.S. Marine." He has no idea which grandson the hat refers to, and if asked, will usually tell a big tale of his time in the Marines. He was never in the military. Within seconds, his head twists around, his hand comes up in a wave, and a smile lights up his face as he spots me. My father doesn't know what he had for lunch. He doesn't know what year or month it is, but he knows who I am, and he's always happy to see me. I reach his side and hand him the milkshake. We exchange the same greeting every week. Dad says, "How did you know where to find me?" I always respond, "Mom told me." As we wheel down the hall toward the main entrance, he eagerly begins to drink his milkshake, telling me that strawberry is his favorite and asking how I knew. On our way out the door, we pass staff members, other visitors, and members. All of them, and I mean every single one, smiles and greets my father by name. Even now, he is the man everyone knows and loves. Sometimes they will touch my shoulder and say, "Your father is such a delight." The faculty has immaculate lawns with flower gardens and private areas for visitors to sit and spend time with their loved ones. In my previous world, as I refer to it before dementia, he loved roses. So our favorite place is the rose garden. As we make our way there, he will usually ask if I want him to push the wheelchair because it's a lot of work. I smile and assure him that I can use the exercise. We stop, and I pull up a chair and settle in. He is drinking his milkshake as I am catching my breath. When my father became a resident of the nursing home, I was in the midst of my busy life. My middle son had been deployed to Iraq. I constantly worried about him, and I had 2 other sons still at home. I have a full-time job, a house, a husband, volunteer activities, and the same list of responsibilities as most busy women. There are a lot of Wednesdays when the workday ends and all I want to do is go home. I want to get dinner on the table, get my chores done, and try to squeeze in an hour of relaxing with my husband before going to bed and getting up and starting all over again. But I can't, because it's Wednesday, and the responsibility I feel to make sure Dad has a visit weighs on me. Once I'm with him, my mood lifts. When we sit in the garden, a sense of peace comes over me. The rest of the world doesn't exist as we talk about the same things over and over, or sit quietly together. I'm forced to set aside the rest of my life. I'm forced to be in the moment. In this day and age, when all of us multitask to accomplish as much as we possibly can in 24 hours, it's a rare treat to be this calm. Sometimes it hits me that 5 years ago, Dad had the same life most of us do. He was up before the sun and exhausted every night trying to get it all done. But then one morning, he woke up and that life ceased to exist. Dementia had taken its hold. Now we sit in the rose garden and talk about how he built the building behind us. We talk about the weather, the trees, the roses, and whether he slept well last night. 10 minutes from now, we will talk about the exact same things, except it will all be brand new to him. Soon, if we are quiet enough, the real reason we are here in this garden appears. Our special guests begin to arrive. One by one, the little legs carry them to a cautious spot not too far from us, but not too close either. Their beady black eyes and big bushy tails might turn some people off, but not us. I pull the bag of peanuts from my purse. "Look, Daddy," I point out their arrival as if I'm 5 years old, but now it's my father who is childlike. I take the empty milkshake cup from him and hand him a bunch of peanuts. Slowly, he tosses the first one to the closest squirrel, who eagerly snaps it up and stands on its hind legs to peel it. Dad grins and turns his focus to the next squirrel. Over and over, he tosses peanuts to squirrels of all colors and sizes. One is missing half his tail, which prompts a weekly conversation about how we think he lost it. Sometimes a few chipmunks will show up, but mostly it's the squirrels who, through some unspoken squirrel underground, have found out there are peanuts to be had. Dad smiles at their antics and tells me for the 6th time in an hour that he loves those little guys. I smile and agree that squirrels are wonderful. In his other life, my father was able to coax squirrels to eat from his hand. Dad never made a ton of money. He wasn't famous, and he didn't own a fancy car or house, but he could get a squirrel to eat out of his hand, and to him that was far more important. Dementia robbed me of my father and robbed him of his life. I know that when I take Dad into dinner tonight, he wouldn't even remember I was there 10 minutes after I leave. But in this moment, he knows I'm here, and he knows he loves squirrels. So we feed the squirrels every Wednesday. That was by Rhonda Penders. And I want to encourage you to be in the moment, because a number of parents are dealing with dementia and other diseases. We can still love them and express our desire to be with them. Both of my parents have passed away. I would love to have that opportunity once more. So please, I'll ask you, do it for me, do it for them, most of all, do it for yourself. Just like that one expression said, be sure to spend time with your parents while you can, because one day, when you look up from your busy life, they won't be there anymore. I hope you won't have any regrets. Take advantage of the time that you have. Dad. What I'd give if I could say, "Hello, Dad," in the same old way, to hear his voice and see his smile, to sit with him and chat for a while. So if your father is still here, cherish him with care, for you'll never know the heartache until you see his empty chair. The greatest gift I ever had came from God. I call him Dad. Dads, this is really important to come from you. Speak to children as if they are the wisest, kindest, most beautiful and magical humans on earth, for what they believe is what they will become.
Hello everyone, I am Tim. I am Patricia's friend, and she asked me a couple months or weeks, or maybe weeks ago, to do a special for the Father's Day. And as Patricia always gives a journey about things, I also will give you a little bit a journey about what I do and what God is doing in my life, so that you can get something out of it for your own Father's special. So let's drive in. I'm 54 years old. I have 3 children. One of them is biological, and 2 of them are adopted. Frederick lives in Germany, and then there's EJ and Anna. And they live in the Philippines, and EJ just gives us Isla, our first granddaughter, together with his girlfriend Pen. And you see, the idea of a father is to balance the life of the family. And in our family, we had a little hard time to do this, because when we got EJ and Anna, they were already grown up. So EJ was 10 and Anna was 16. With Frederick, this is a very different story, and maybe let me start with him. Frederick was born in 1989, so in Germany, when the Berlin Wall fall down and East and West Germany come together. And in that tumult time, I was married very young, and Frederick, of course, very cute and very small. But jobs were actually more available in the east side of Germany than in the west side, where I was born and where I was grown up. So I had an amazing time and options to go to East Germany, even before the wall fall down, to identify opportunities for my company to make business. So this left a lot of travel behind me, and having Frederick and my wife at home, this was really a hard decision to do, because I really don't like to travel anywhere without my family. But the decision was made, and I left to a town called Wernigerode, what is in the mid of Germany, around 270 kilometers away from Hamburg, where I was born and where my family was living. So to give this short story a little kick, seems I was not always around. My wife was most likely a little bit lonely, and she identified another person who she thought this would be a better party for her to raise our very small infant child. And of course she didn't tell me this, felt most likely embarrassed. But then in the end, after 3 years, this was like too much, and we got divorced. So Frederick grew up with 2 fathers and a mother who could not really make her decisions, who she would like to have in her home. Now I was obviously not the one, but anyhow, Frederick then lived with me for 2 weeks, and I brought him back, and I stayed with his mom for 2 weeks, and so this goes back and forth. And but then there was a time when I moved to Munich, and this was like 800 and plus kilometers away from Hamburg, and my jobs required to travel a lot, so I could not just stay in one place and have Frederick coming in and out, so I had no physical time to spend with him. What was extremely nerve-wracking, because Frederick needed a lot of attention. And of course he loved me a lot, and I loved him a lot. So we managed to see each other quite a time, but then it becomes more and more complicated. My ex-wife then, she didn't want me to see him, so lots of problems. And don't forget, I was traveling all the time, so I had actually many other things in my head than finding ways to please my ex-wife. Now, after a couple of years, he was maybe 5 years old, we completely lost contact. Until he turned 10, and he called my father and said, "Oh, Grandpa, I'd like to see my father. Is this possible?" And then my father called me, and I was in the Philippines during that time. And he said, "You have to come. You have to see your son. He wants to see you." So, I was very surprised. And so after 5 years of having no contact with him, and this was really shocking, very shocking. So anyway, the idea was very clear. I go to Germany, I meet my son Frederick, and then this was really like a reunification of 5 years, what was slowed down from 5 years to 5 seconds. So when we met each other last time and met again after 5 years, this was absolutely the same feeling towards each other. Now Frederick decided to stay on a little longer, and decided to talk to my ex-wife and asked what is her preference. And she says, oh, I think it's your turn now, so why don't you take care of Frederick now? So he was 10, he had a school in Hamburg, so I didn't live in Hamburg, so I lived in the Philippines, so I should come back, so I should start something. And I were able to buy an old farmhouse and converted it to an office, and had a plan, but this plan sadly didn't work out. And so I had to go back to the Philippines, and I asked Frederick, do you want to come with me to the Philippines and live with me and Micah there? And we are a family then in the Philippines. You go to school there and everything, but you have to learn English. And then he says, okay, that's a good idea. So we started learning English, and in the end, Frederick got wet feet, and he says, no, I want to stay with my mom, and please, you can go back. And I stay here. So this was actually the story. Now, from there on, we had a contact. Each time I came to Germany, we saw each other, and so we had a lot of phone calls and messages around, faxes, and during that time this was very popular. Skype was not available then, and so it was interesting. And then somehow in 2000 became, when was this, 2000? Yeah, in 2000 we came to celebrate New Year in Germany, Micah and I, and then we were home, and Frederick was with his mom, but we saw each other and we went out, and he met Micah, and this was all very nice. And then this was like, yeah, somehow the problem with him was not that he don't like us. The problem with him, he really was not able to understand that there are opportunities to stay with us instead of staying with his mom. So we went back, and then before we went back to Manila in January or December, late week of December, maybe it was 28th of December, we got a phone call from my mother-in-law, who told us that we have to adopt a boy. He's 10 years old. The mother just passed away, and so Micah and I looked at each other, and then we said, okay, why not? Why not? We don't have biological children together, so let's go ahead and adopt this kid. But then we wanted to meet him first, so we invited him to stay with us for New Year's this was 2002, I think, some sort of 2002. And then we invited EJ to stay with us for a week. And then when the doorbell rang, there was not only EJ, but there was his half-sister Anna as well. And then we had a lot of discussion how we actually do these things, and we decided in the end to take care of both children, and so we started the process of legally adopting them. But then it turned out that in the Philippines the mother has to be 16 years at least older than the adopted child, and Micah and Anna, they are just for 15 years apart, so there was no way to legally adopt Anna. So we decided to be foster parents for both children. Last time I talked to you about Frederick, and now I like to talk to you about EJ and Anna. EJ grew up on the street as a street kid with not so good influential people. And Anna, she grew up with her grandmother, quite protected. Both of them lost their mother, as I explained before, and Micah and I, we decided to adopt them. So sadly, it was not able to adopt, but as foster parents, we took full responsibility for both children. Now, EJ grew up and he signed situations where we are not so happy with his development. His social development and also his development in school were a little bit questionable. But in the end, I don't want to make it too complicated, because when you are a father, and we are all fathers who might watch this, or maybe you are a mother and want to see how you can influence your husband or your boyfriend to see things easier with your children, especially when they are complicated. So EJ was very, very complicated, and he started off with huge tantrums out of nothing, especially when lots of people were around. So he liked the attention of many. He was smaller than anyone else in his age group, so he maybe wanted to stay on top or equal to everyone else, so he pushed the limits too far. And it was many, many things. I don't want to go into details, you can see that with your own children. But the idea how to fix things, I tell you one story where I had Frederick bringing his school books back from school. So because he didn't do homework, so I was quite angry that the teacher called and he had a bad notes in the school. So I asked him to where the school books are, and then he could not find them. And then I investigated a little bit, and then he said, this is in the school. I said, okay, let's go to school and pick them up. So he was 10 years old and quite small. So the picture, a small boy with a big backpack full of books, quite heavy, quite uncomfortable. So we took all these books, and then we went back home, and we lived in the 17th floor. And I said to him, you know, I don't want you to forget your books anymore. And since I told you so many times, and so many times your school is calling, I want you to go with your school books and bring them up, not using the elevator, using the staircase. And I will go with you so that we can have a chat and talk about the issue, why it's so important that you have your books. Now this seems dramatic, and I think it's more dramatic than I thought, especially when he was arrogant and he made it to the 17th floor. I have to tell you, I was quite tired. But he was like, I can do anything and I can do it again. I said, okay, let's go down, and we do it again. So we went down, and then halfway up, he collapsed. So he could not make it anymore. He was tired and frustrated, and I said to him, you know, EJ, let's take the elevator up now, and then let's see what kind of books you have. And let's see if we can do something to make you like to study. And I think this is exact where I screwed up. That's not funny, I understand the whole story is ridiculous, but in the end the outcome was that EJ quit his college. He went to many colleges because he didn't like this and he didn't like that. He started law, and then he gave up, and he started education, sports education, and he gave up. But in the end, after I let go and let him do whatever he thinks it's right to do, he did something remarkable. He found peace with start working for money. So he found a job in a call center. He got in love with a girl. The girl got pregnant, and he had the next problem. But then the girl was pregnant not from EJ, but from another guy. So then he had another girlfriend, and then she got pregnant. Now they have a wonderful baby. And this baby is so beautiful and so cute, and he shows so much responsibility that I have to say, respect. This is a young man who knows how to care for his family. He works hard, he loves his girlfriend, his future wife, hopefully. He loves his daughter so much. And we all love her as everything would be normal. So I hope there's no future problem coming. So we solved the problem not with forcing EJ into certain rules and regulations. We solved the problem letting him decide and letting him fail in his own ways and his own time. And I think this is also how God treats us. He let us do many things. He don't restrict us, and no ways. And then when it comes to a point of no return, God is still there. So, and I thought with EJ, we cannot give up on him. So we also have to be there again and again and again. It doesn't matter how bad his attitude were in front of his family, friends, his attention to details with schooling. It really doesn't matter. We have to take the courtesy of God giving to us, and we have to give the same courtesy to our children. Anna, though, she was very different. She was very shy. She was not outgoing. She was not really interested in big parties or drugs or drinking or smoking. EJ also, he never drank excessively. I think he was drunk once and that's it. And never smoked, so it's also very, very good. And Anna also never had any idea, because I think they saw we don't drink and we don't smoke, so it's maybe a good thing not to do this. It's also parenting, is where you show your kids what is right and what is wrong by doing it yourself. So you drink, your kids want to drink. You smoke, your kids want to smoke. You curse, your kids curse. You shout, your kids shout. So in the end, we are the role model for everything our children do, see, and develop in their own families. We are humans who have the ability to change the world. God give us this power. When Jesus left, he gave us even more. He gave us the Holy Spirit to guide us, and we can ask and get strength from. We can also identify problems before they're coming, because we can talk to God through the Holy Spirit and with the power of the answers who are written in the book. And so now with Anna, to go back to Anna grew up with us. She was 16 years old. Of course, she got a boyfriend one time, and this was very nice, but this doesn't work out, and she found another one, doesn't work out. And then she started working seriously as a graphic artist, and then she found a guy who's so cute and so nice and fits so perfectly into her life and into our lives that we immediately sort of adopted him as this is the right guy. We approved. So they're getting married next year. We are very excited. And so Anna's development, she had her hiccups. One time she couldn't really go to school because she felt mocked, and she didn't like the classmates, so she took a sabbatical of a month or so. And then I found out, and I sent her to her aunt to stay with her. And then she came back after 6 months, and everything from there on was okay. So she developed amazingly, and I think to feel the love of a daughter now, seems we are not really living together, but we feel that love and we feel the attention to our lives she has, and the text messages, and now she is an auntie. She visits Isla very often and is very excited to have her own child one day. it becomes a family. It is just very complicated in the beginning. But you know, if we could avoid all the stress factors what we put in our children as fathers, especially as fathers, if we could avoid that and listen to testimonies like mine and avoid this sending children away, give them hard time, don't want to listen to their stories, don't be interested in their games. All of this is counteractive to what actually we really want to achieve. Is this counteractive? Or maybe it's a different word. I'm so sorry, I'm German, so my English is limited. But I hope you understand what I'm saying. And so I said I didn't know if I said, but I said to Patricia there will be several sections. I started with Frederick, then we like to talk about Anna and EJ. So now Micah and I, we moved to Cambodia. Micah still works for the government and I have a lot of time, and I could not think of something better than work for an NGO. Money was always an issue for me. When we came to Cambodia, I started thinking, NGO, church, this is the work environment I want to be. But then sort of this never worked out. I started for 1 year to work with an NGO, then with another NGO, then with a church, and then I was promoted, but it was not for my heart. I did not feel welcome. I did not feel God want that for me to happen. So then I took a little off, like 2 months, and I was so bored, and one day I went to a place where Micah and I was invited to give goods from our Filipino community here to poor children in a place called Araksat. Araksat is a community based of 90% Vietnamese people and 10% Cambodians. And they didn't like each other very much. When we come to the village 11 months ago, we found chaos. Fighting every day, loud shabba shabba shabba, and hitting each other and bleeding, and the kids were dirty and there were no toilets, and this was just a horrifying situation to see. And so I decided to start going there more often. First, I met a nun from the Catholic Church, so we started teaching her English, so we could communicate a little better. And then I wanted to do more, but then the Catholic Church says, oh, you know, we have this doctrine and we don't want you to start putting your doctrine over our doctrine, so better we don't continue working with each other. So this was the Catholic Church, and thank you so much for that, because I asked the nun on my way out, where should I go and where are the real poor people? And then she showed me in the village, the area where I have never been before, because it's on the other street side. I thought this is nothing there except some plantage, but there were people, poor people, just as I looked for it. And so I found Araksat, and to make it short, we are there for 11 months now. We have a community center, it's called Araksat Community Center. It's a village-driven community center. It's not me-driven community center. We offer some courses for women, empowering courses, like, for example, an English course for mothers. We have a kids club on Saturdays. We have every Tuesday or Wednesday, we have medical services for them. So this center started with an empty house, and now we have a clinic, a kitchen, a women's center, a kids club, and an office and an upcoming dormitory room. Wow, you are welcome to come to Cambodia and join us for some time to help us to be fathers for all of our children. Cambodia is so just a beautiful country. The people are so lovely and so lively and so beautiful. And the kids are so fun to be with. They have little education or zero education. The parents have no education, so they don't know how to educate their children. They have no experience because their experience is fishing. After they are not allowed to fish anymore, they become very, very poor. When they become very poor, the only thing they have left is the men to drink and to smoke and to pass out. For the women, they sell some drinks along this road, they sell some food along the road, but in the evening they're coming home to a drunk husband. So why not finding ways to make them stronger and explain to them how important hygiene is, and explain to them how important it is that they understand how do finance work in their capacity as poor leaders of their family. And we also want to share with them how Christ sees us and how he wants us to be to others. And so that we can go and share not only our experience and mentoring to them, but more important, to show the love the Father gave to us when he sent Jesus Christ. And this love we have to show to them so that they understand that love is the important part. Not shouting, not fighting, not pushing it always into certain directions. Love, patience, kindness. Understand what people need and not put your understanding on them. Wait until they're asked questions. The same we educate our children when we were in the Philippines, when we were in China with William and Shu. The same here. Families need education, but not our way of life, their way of life. If they have questions, they will come. You be patient. Then you tell them what you think. And when they want to take over this knowledge, they will. If they don't, they don't. But we have done our part. We went, we helped, we were there for them. So this is all for now. I wish you a very pleasant and very beautiful time with your children. All fathers out there, be patient, be kind, and wait for your family members to come to you, and then you give the knowledge you have received to them. Thank you so much, and thank God for all these blessings with Patricia here on Sojourners along the way. We are so happy to do this kind of activities. I'm in Cambodia, as you now know, and Patricia in the US. So God bless you, America. You are a great country. You can overcome all obstacles. You did it in the past. You can do it in the future. This is my message to you. You are rock solid and you can do everything you want. God bless you. Bye-bye.